Welcome into the 2022 Big Z Sports Two-A-Day segment. Today we're in West Lafayette to talk about the Ridgewood Generals, and they are brought to you by the Ridgewood General Store, bringing great things to great people. Joe Geckler, Travis McClellan here today in West Lafayette. Travis, first day, brother. It's first day of football. It's August 1st. The teams get back after it in Ohio, and it's a fun day for coaches, players, and, of course, us media.
Absolutely, Joe. I couldn't wait. I couldn't sleep last night. I love football. I love high school football. We talked on the way down. This is one of my favorite days of the year. Seeing the new crop come out, the new kids, the new coaches, the new schemes, and I'm excited to get it going. Great place to start here in West LA.
Obviously, you were on both ends of it. I played. I did not coach, but you played. You coached at a high level. What is the first day of practice and the optimism that it brings to programs?
Well, you start to find out what you really are. I mean, you can see off-season weight programs. You can see them running around in helmets and T-shirts doing some 7-on-7s. But you really start to find out now. And you find your identity. Of course, yes, you've built that through the off-season. But now you really find out what you have. And you're going to move pieces around. From today to week 3 are the biggest changes in high school football as far as position, personnel, and scheme. And so they're starting their journey today. And the road to the state championship starts today.
Well, we're going to talk about the Ridgewood Generals now. John Slusser in his 18th season. He's 154-37 in 18 years, 15 playoff appearances. That's a pretty good resume for Coach Slusser. They were 10-2 last year, 3-1 in the IVC. They failed to Wheelersburg in the second round of the playoffs last year, but a really good season from the Generals last year, but they've had a really good season the last 4 years. Some of those kids are gone, though.
Yeah, Coach Slusser's a staple down here. 18 years as the head man, I believe like around 12 as an assistant. And they do it right down here at Ridgewood. And they've had tons of success the last 4 years we talked about. But really, they've been on a long run here with a lot of success. You know, you talked about it, 10-2. Only loss was to Garraway and Wheelersburg in the playoffs. And so, you know, they're poised to make another run. Yes, they lost a couple guys, but they reload. They don't rebuild here.
The one key guy they lost, a former Big Z Sports Player of the Year, number 2, Gabe Tingle. And, of course, he has gone on to Marietta. And, it's going to be tough to replace a guy like him, not just because he was your quarterback for 4 years, but the ability he had, the athleticism that he had, but the leadership that he brought to this program.
Absolutely. You can't replace a guy like that immediately, and that's going to take time. You don't see guys like that come around too often. What you miss with Gabe Tingle is the it factor, where you can look at the huddle and look into his eyes and know he's going to do something to help you win, whether it's offensively, defensively, leadership-wise. And, you know, that's a big loss, especially when he's your trigger man on offense. You lose him, you lose a linchpin to your offense.
Yeah, if you look at the schedule for the Ridgewood Generals, they open up at Coshocton, right down 36, and then they come home for Riverview, and then 2 more on the road with Marlington and West Branch, who West Branch is a new opponent this year on their schedule. But 3 of the first 4 on the road.
And that's a good point, Joe. When you're replacing pieces, here's the thing. When you're replacing guys that played 3 or 4 years, you don't know what you're going to get because the Friday night lights are bright. When those guys, the underclassmen, were playing 8-9 snaps a game, now they're playing 25, 30, 60 snaps a game, and you don't know exactly what you're going to get till you put them in the fire. And on top of that, like you mentioned, 3 or 4 on the road. It's going to be a tough early season here for the Generals as far as the feeling out process.
They'll come back at home and get Malvern, the IVC crossover game. That's going to be week 5. And then they jump into the IVC South with Tusky Valley. They'll be at Sandy Valley. They come home for 2 with Indian Valley and Claymont. And then, of course, on to week 10, on to Hill and Sugar Creek to take on the Garraway Pirates. A little revenge game for the Generals as they fell to the Pirates here in West Lafayette last year.
Yeah, the IVC is going to be a very good football league. And they've been that for a long, long time. And you run through the schedule, and they front-loaded that off-season schedule. Coshocton's going to be very good. Malvern's going to be very good. But you get into the IVC, you know what kind of brand of football you're going to play, and you're going to have to bring it every Friday night.
It's now time to welcome in Ridgewood head football coach John Slusser. Coach, year number 18. Day 1 of 2-A-Days. That's a lot of time spent on these football fields here in West Lafayette. How's it feel to be back at it this summer?
Feels old now you said that. I feel tired. Really, it's year 30. I was an assistant for 12 years before. This is my 30th year on this field. And not to count, I played here. So I spent a lot of my lifetime on this practice field right here.
Coach, you're only 40 years old. How can you be doing it for 30 years?
I've been telling everybody that. Nobody believes it.
Coach, let's rewind a little bit and go back to last season. The last 4 years, really, Ridgewood has had a lot of great teams on this field here in West Lafayette. You lost a lot of talent over the last couple of years. You lose a lot last year as well. The one key loss that you have, obviously they're all tough when you lose the kids, the amount of games that the kids won. But number 2, Gabe Tingle, 4 years went fast with him. It seems like we've been talking about him for 15 years, but Tingle's now moved on. You lost Dalton Patterson, you lost Millender, you lost a couple other kids as well. Talk about last year's team for us.
An incredible group of kids. You mentioned the last 4 years. Really, it's been the last 8. In the last 8 years, we had that one season we were 7-3. Other than that, the other 7 were 9-1 or 10-0. So we've had a nice 8-year run. We've been blessed. We've had so many good kids and so many great people in our community. I'm blessed to have coached here. It's a cool place, and man, we get a lot of good kids. So I hate to dwell on last year any more than any of the other years because there's been a lot of good ones.
Sure. You finished 10-2 last year, 3-1 in the IVC. You were a 4 seed in Division 5, Region 19. You lost to the 5 seed Wheelersburg, 30-24 in round number 2. Nice playoff run. Wheelersburg got you. But you know what? Nothing to hang your head about. The season went well. Tingle was out for, I believe it was 3.5 games, if I remember correctly, with an injury, but came back, and you guys won some big games down the stretch.
Yeah, I thought we had a really good year. Right before Gabe got hurt, he got hurt in the first half of the Marlington game. I thought we were playing as well as we've ever played in those 8 years. I think we were up on Marlington 44-0 at half. And they weren't terrible as they went on to play Philly tough at the end of the year. They beat Carrollton.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't like that was a bad team. We just played really well. Thought we were coming into it. And, of course, we lose Gabe that night. Now, we come back the next week and beat Dalton at home in a short week. It was a pickup game.
Yep.
And I thought our kids played really well that night against a
really
good Dalton
team.
Yeah, I thought Dalton was as good as anybody. I watched them and Garraway battle each other, and I thought Dalton was really good. So we were playing well, and then we lost Joe with COVID, and we lost Keegan with a shoulder injury. And so we went through some tough times here, but we managed to win.
You lost Dalton for a little bit as well.
Yeah, we lost Dalton last year for a while. So we went through some tough times, but we managed to keep our head above water and kept battling. That was a credit to those kids. But at the end of the year, we never really got it back. Gabe came back the Indian Valley game, and we never really clicked again until the end. And we were playing really well against Wheelersburg. I think we were up maybe 21-6 or something at half. And the first play of the second half, Gabe breaks that 30-yard run and comes up hobbling. And unfortunately, we know he had surgery and broke his ankle in a few places and never finished that. Had he finished that game, who knows what would have happened. Wheelersburg went on to beat Ironton the next week, and so maybe that could have been us. You never know. People always say we should have won. I hate when people say that because should have is not a real word. Well, we should have done this, but you didn't.
Yeah.
And I think we could have had a chance to keep going.
So, Coach, let's put last season in the rearview mirror. I know you have. You did that probably in December of last year, and you moved on. And looking at this year's team, you come back, looking at the schedule real fast. You start off week 1 at Coshocton. You come back home for Riverview, and then you go on the road for 2 more games. So 3 of your first 4 games are on the road this year. Talk to us about the first half of your schedule in 2022.
It'll be challenging for us. We got a lot of new parts. We just mentioned some of the guys we lost. We had our senior dinner last night, and we asked the kids, I think we have 20 seniors this year, and we asked the kids to raise their hand if they started last year, and 7 of them raised their hand out of the 20. And then we said, how many of you started both ways? And
all the hands went down.
Not one of them raised their hand. So we have no 2-way starters back, but we have some good players. The cupboard's not bare. Those first 5 games will be challenging. It's very important that we get off on the right foot. Coshocton should be pretty good. That's always a big game because it's close. That's when we got to try to get that first game. It's important to us. We ended up with having to pick up West Branch in the game 4 spot. Not an ideal game for us. Pretty big for us. But that's who we got. And so we'll have to play Marlington and West Branch back to back. That's a concern for me. They're both on the road. It'll tell us a lot about our kids, and hopefully get us ready for down the stretch.
You mentioned one of the new opponents on your schedule this year being at West Branch in week number 4. Week number 5, you're going to welcome in the Malvern Hornets. You did not play them last year. Kind of a crossover game in the IVC, if you want to call it that. But 2 new teams on your schedule with at West Branch and Malvern. So it's going to be you like to see new opponents to kind of test yourself against people you haven't seen before.
Right.
But talk to us about Malvern and maybe what you expect from them to end the first half of the schedule.
Malvern, people forget this, but Malvern over the years was our biggest rival in the IVC. They were bigger than Garraway. When I first started coaching in 05, from 05 to probably 12 or 13, that was the big game on our schedule. The team that we went to the Final Four with in 09, we won on a play at the end of the game where they went for 2, and I'll be honest with you, this day I don't know if the guy was in or out. It was right bang, bang at the goal line, and we got the call. But we came within that inch of losing that game. Malvern and us has always been a great game, so I kind of welcome that game back. I think after this year we'll drop to D6, so us and them will be in the same region, so we'll be, battling it out for playoff spots down the road. So this could be a start of the Malvern Ridgewood game renewed, because I think we'll see them in the playoffs in the next few years. They've got good kids coming, and so do we. So I think it'll be a great game, even if we don't play in the regular season.
Gotcha. And then the back half of that schedule, you get into the gauntlet of the IVC. You're going to have Sandy Valley, Indian Valley, Tusky Valley, Claymont, and, of course, you end on the hill in Sugar Creek and Garraway in week number 10. The back half will get you ready for the playoffs.
Hopefully, we've had our way with the league the past few years other than Garraway, those times turn,
Sure.
Times turn. Indian Valley's got it coming. They've got such good kids now. They could really make a mark on the league for the next 4 or 5 years where they're just going to be incredible. Garraway's got a super team coming back this year. I mean, they beat us last year, and we were pretty good. They beat us here. That's not easy to do. I know they've looked forward to this group for a while, so, always be challenging. I'll be honest with you, Sandy Valley played a lot of young kids last year, so I don't know what to expect from them. I don't know if they're ready to make that turn or not. So I'm more worried about us right now
Sure.
and how we do it, because we're just replacing so many people.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll have to figure that out as we go.
Speaking of you, key returners this year, Colin Smith, Josiah Cahill, Caleb Schrock, to name a few. Talk about your other key returners.
Those 3 are big. Colley's really got to stay healthy. He's going to, for the first time in his career, he's going to play both sides of the ball. He's going to be a running back. He's going to be a linebacker. He's never had to be on the field the entire game, so that's a concern to us. Josiah's really stepped into a good role. He does everything for us. Probably our best all-around skill kid, so we'll count on Joe a lot. I think we have one of the best. I mean, obviously the Wall Lake kid's okay, and Indian Valley has guys, but we got Jonas Paul back at defensive tackle, defensive end. I think he's one of the best linemen in the league. We have Cam Hirschberger back up front, who's really a good football player. We should be good up front. We should be as good as we've been up front. We just don't have the same skill that we've had in the past.
And obviously, Coach, the big talk around West Lafayette in the offseason, you did welcome in a new kid, Carter. Talk about him and his move into the district.
We welcomed in about 3 or 4 guys. That's just been the one that people have talked about. There was a lot of people involved in it. I don't really know why, but that's just the way I guess sports work sometimes. Sure. But Carter's been a great addition. I mean, he's a really good kid, comes from a good family.
He's big.
He's a big dude. He is a big dude. He can sling it too. It's been a learning process for him. He's done a good job as far as learning it. I think he's going to be great. I really do. He's fit in really well with our kids, which is a big deal, and our kids have welcomed him with open arms. We always planned on playing 2 quarterbacks anyhow, so it really doesn't change what we were going to do anyhow. We got Carter and we got Joe. Here's the truth about Joe. Joe only is 4-0 as a starting varsity quarterback, beat Dalton last year. So, I mean, poor Joe, he just goes wherever, man, but the kid's just a winner.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, obviously today's the first day of practice for you guys here in West Lafayette, as it is for the whole state of Ohio, officially the first day of practice for everyone. So as you come out of the locker room, what was the message to the guys here on the field as you get season number 18 as a head coach here at Ridgewood underway?
Well, we talked to these guys about this. We have a lot of kids. We don't have a big junior class, which hurts. We only have 6 juniors, but we have 67 total out here. and they've all been great. They're here every day, do a good job of being where they're supposed to be and trying for the most part. Our thing is we're going to have to coach them up and get them to be Ridgewood football players. I've told them this and we've talked about it. You know, everybody thinks we're not very good. Now we lost all those guys, and there's probably a truth to that. I tell these guys they're like the guys at the Alamo, man. They got to hold down the fort till the other guys get here, and their job is maybe more important than Gabe Tingle and those guys the last few years when everybody knew we were going to be good. These guys have to maintain Ridgewood football, and that's a big challenge. It's a big challenge for guys that haven't won a whole lot. So their challenge is big. They got to hold down the fort, man.
Absolutely.
They got to hold it down.
Well, Coach, again, thanks so much for hosting Big Z Sports out here in West Lafayette to talk a little Ridgewood football. We love coming to talk to you and seeing the guys and all the coaches and just enjoying the atmosphere in West Lafayette. Looking forward to get down here doing a game this year. We will be down here to do a game with you. It's going to be a lot of fun. Been a couple years since we've been here, but we will be back in West Lafayette for the Ridgewood Generals this season. And again, big thanks and best of luck as the season begins.
I appreciate it. You know, it's always, you can tell it's the start of football when you guys show up, and it's great you started off here. It makes me feel important, like you kind of like us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, no, it's the start of football, and it's great. I did want to say this because I know you guys like this guy. You know Coach Gardner from West Home.
I do, yeah.
Okay, well, we 7-on-7 with them this
Okay,
year.
all right.
You know, friendly get-together.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's got a really good team.
Yeah, that's the word out there on the street that they're going to be pretty
really,
good.
really good.
Yeah.
And he's went up against us, and we're just starting off. And you know that he cheated in the number of plays. He ran like 12 and only let us run 8.
Gardner wouldn't do that.
He
would
did,
No,
I know.
Come on.
He sent me the tape because we didn't tape it.
All right.
And I got home and found out he cheated in a 7-on-7.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll ask him about that when we go talk to him.
Ask him because he did do that. I just wanted to make that clear. But I appreciate it.
Thanks.
You guys have a great day.
Yep. That's Coach John Slusser joining us here on our two-a-days. Big thanks to the Ridgewood General Store, bringing great things to great people here in West Lafayette. We'll be back and wrap this up with Travis McClellan and myself right after this with Big Z Sports. Welcome back. Joe Geckler, Travis McClellan here for two-a-days. Big thanks to head football coach John Slusser for joining us here on our two-a-day segment, brought to you by the Ridgewood General Store, bringing great things to great people. Trav, nice to have Coach Slusser in. Talk a little Ridgewood football with him. He has a lot of optimism coming into this season. He knows he lost some kids, but he has a good kids here already.
Yeah, you know, Coach Slusser's always great, you know, and he's been great to us and great to the area. And, you know, talking to him, you get to talk real football, and I love that, and I get goosebumps, you know. I go back to Coach Slusser. We got to talk last year in a rain delay, and it was just pure football, and I love that. But, you know, yes, he's lost some people. But, you know, again, there's people in the wings here at West Lafayette ready to play football. They're excited. You know, they're ready to go. Their schedule's what it is, and they're going to be good again. If you think, oh, they lost Gabe, they lost the Stroups, they lost Caden Bradford, Dalton Patterson, but they're going to win some football games down here. Coach is excited, and rightfully so. There's talent here waiting in the wings.
Absolutely. It's going to be a fun year in West Lafayette here for the Ridgewood Generals, coming off a 10-2 season. Of course, Big Z Sports will be down here for a game this year. Week number 8 against Indian Valley. We will have that game for you with Big Z Sports and 99.9 WTUZ. Big thanks to Claxon Communications. Of course, they do a great job allowing us to stream.
Top notch.
And doing these two-a-days for us as well. Adam Soweski behind the camera today. Of course, my man Travis McClellan to my left here on our two-a-day segment. I'm Joe Geckler. We'll talk to you again here real soon at another two-a-day camp. So long, everybody.